On this episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast, we talk about how the movie industry needs to make a movie about the hardcore scene. We talk about how insane ticket prices are getting and what the possible solution could be. We also talk about getting crowd killed by a ghost. So thanks for jumping on, and let's open this pit up.
Somebody hit somebody!
All right. Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast. I'm Kyle, and I'm here with Trevor. So what's up, man?
Not much, man. Been a minute since we've done a midweek, so excited for this one.
I know. We need to be more consistent.
That's okay. I mean, it's
Also-
been holiday times and stuff going on, and we just had Thanksgiving. What'd you end up doing? I think that you have family in town, right?
Yeah, and I cooked a turkey, and then
How'd it
my
turn out?
brother-in-law. It turned out good.
Yeah?
Yeah. You know what though? So like we were all sick. I've been sick for like a couple weeks now, and I took my son to the doctor because he's been sick. And the doctor was like, "So how's your turkey?" And my son was like, "Not good. It was super dry." And I was like, "Bro, I'm about to smack you in front of the doctor. Like it was not dry. It was good. I don't know what his problem is. It like really offended me."
Dude, he just like roasted you, man.
Yeah, he just goes around telling everyone my dad's turkey was dry. No, it wasn't. It was good. It was fine.
Okay, so here's a question for you. Are you white meat or dark meat?
I'm just meat. I'll eat
No,
both.
man.
I don't freaking care.
There's an answer there. Are you white meat or dark meat?
There is
It-
no answer there. They're both good.
Gun to your head, you have to pick one. You taking the leg or you taking the breast?
I mean, I'm probably taking the breast. I don't dislike dark
really?
meat though. Yeah. I
Okay.
don't dislike dark meat though. I'll eat it. It's good.
Oh, dude, I'm dark meat all day long, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, you're telling me like I'm wrong. It's good. I have no issues with that.
Oh,
how
man.
was your Thanksgiving then?
It was good. So we have my in-laws from town. They're back east, staying with us, and it's been fun. I mean, my wife loves having her parents here with us, and they've been out doing things. We always do 2 Thanksgivings. We hit up my family for lunch, and then we work our way to my wife's
Oh,
family.
jeez.
Dude, I swear, I like almost throw up every single year because I like gorge myself at my family's because it's what I grew up with. It's comfort food, you know? And then we go and we have hers. And I swear my plate's like a little tiny thing and they always look at me weird. I'm like, I just ate massive amounts of food.
Yeah.
So no offense,
That's a lot of eating.
yeah. But this year, my youngest fell asleep in the car after my family's. So we went and parked out in front of her family's. I just sat in the car for like 45 minutes while my daughter napped. So
Yeah.
I almost fell asleep too.
You know, I think they did a study, and I could be wrong, but I feel like I read this somewhere that the chemical in turkey, what's it called? Like
Something with a T. Trip something.
trypmethamphetamine. I don't know.
Trip.
Whatever it is, I read an article, and I don't know if it's true, but they said that it actually doesn't cause you to be tired, that that's a myth.
Oh, really?
So I don't know if it could be fake news.
Tryptophan.
Tryptophan. That's right.
That's what it is. So,
Yeah.
Huh. Well,
So
I get
I don't know.
tired after. Most likely it's because you just eat way
like
too
4
much
pounds of
freaking
food.
food.
I know.
So it's your
And they blame
body's
it on
way of
turkey.
being like, yeah, you screwed up, dude.
You ate way too much food, so we're just gonna shut it down.
Exactly.
Shut it down. Yeah.
But,
But
no,
quit-
it's
leave the
fun.
turkey out of it. Quit blaming them. You know, they didn't do anything except be
Hey.
delicious. So
You know what?
Yeah.
Someone has to have an excuse for eating a turkey sandwich at lunch and then like passing out
and
at
they're
the
falling
office.
asleep. It's true.
So,
Been
you know?
listening to anything good?
So I posted on Twitter. I'm like, there was so much music that came out over the last month that it has been go, go, go with new albums. Last week, I like didn't even listen to music. Like it was kind
Yeah.
of a weird week. I listened to a bunch of podcasts and everything like that, but I did not really turn on any like actual music last week. Kind of strange. So the answer to that is no.
No.
What about you?
I listened to a bunch of Mind Force. It's not new, but they were just kind of on repeat over the weekend. And then, do you know who Chuck Reagan is? Did you ever listen to Hot Water Music?
Oh, yeah.
So he's the vocalist from Hot Water Music. He's got his solo stuff that I really like. It's not for everyone because it kind of leans more heavily into like country, but like real country.
Okay.
But he just released a new song that's really freaking good. I'll have to send it to you. Yeah, you might actually like it. Might be
Sure.
something you like. So
I'll
send
check
it
it
to you.
out.
But
You were
yeah, I mean,
listening to
Thanksgiving, I'm not listening to like grindcore for Thanksgiving. You know, I was listening to just chill stuff, hanging out with the
right?
family. So
For sure. For sure. Were you listening to Mind Force because of all the stuff that was going on with those guys?
yeah, well, I mean, I back that guy with what he said and what he did. So, you know, good for
Should we
him.
talk about that? I mean, I honestly thought it was awesome.
We
So,
might get a little bit of hate for it, but if somebody like Jay from Mindforce says it, so he's like been we can talk about it because he's been a little controversial before. Do you remember this when he came out and he's like, if you're not here, it was at a show, right? He was playing a show and he's like, if you're not here, you can't say you're part of the hardcore scene. Like what he's saying is that like if you don't show up, if you don't actually be there and support it, you're not a part of it. Like you can't be a keyboard warrior on the internet and think you're a part of the scene. Like you're a part of the scene if you show up. And a lot of people got like super mad at him. And, you know, he was like, obviously, if you've got a family and kids and stuff, like I get you can't be at every show, but like if you say you're a part of a scene and you don't show up for it, are you really a part of it?
that's a super valid point. I mean, and the problem is there's years that I actually probably wasn't part of the scene. And in all reality, you know, I was listening to the music and I was keeping up on things somewhat, but it wasn't until probably the last 2 years where I started going back to shows. Kids are a little bit older, started taking the wife with me and things like that. But I agree with them. I don't
Yeah.
know. We're going to probably get some hate for that. There's something about our scene, our music specifically, that requires to be in person.
Yeah.
That's kind of my take.
Well, and honestly, I think a lot of it is stemmed from the fact that we see this a lot now with social media that these kids get on TikTok and complain and say something's wrong about the scene and try to correct things or change things. And it's like, well, first of all, you're probably not even there. So who are you to say what's right or wrong? And second of all, if you are there, you've only been there for a couple of years. Again, who are you to say what's right or wrong? You know, I mean, us three get on this podcast and talk about stuff, but even then, like we laugh and joke that we're old heads, but we're not old heads.
Yeah.
You know, there's guys that were there before us, and I didn't walk into that scene and be like, hey, you guys are doing this wrong. And I sure as heck wasn't typing it on the internet, you know?
Yeah. No, Josh talks all the time about the bands that were in the like early 90s and stuff here in Salt Lake that are starting to do reunions. And he was talking about the dude who's like bald with like the skullet coming out the back now. Like he's probably in like his mid 50s and he's up there and he's killing it. And those are the old heads.
Right. Like, but I think that's the point that the guy from Mindforce, Jay, was making, was that like, who are you to come in or not even be here and to say that like hardcore needs to change or this is bad or this is wrong or we're doing it wrong. You know what I mean? Hardcore is not really a spectator sport.
No, and I think that the last show with Acacia Strain that I went to, where Vincent was up there and he was like, hey, this requires participation. Like, we're up here. We want you guys to mosh. We want you guys to move, everything like that. Like, hardcore is one of those things that expects something to happen.
Yeah.
Did you read what he said and everything?
Yeah, I'll pull up the actual post that they did. Well, what's funny is like, so I'm pretty sure this happened at a show, right? Where we've all seen the move where some kid gets up on stage and swings down on people like hammer fists on top of people's head that are just standing there next to the stage, right? Well, in the video clip, he runs up and kicks that kid in the back and kicks him off stage. Well, then after the song, he pauses and he starts saying how that move where kids get up on stage and, you know, start hitting down on the crowd is soft and that it's mad soft is what he said. Well, they must have gotten a bunch of flack for it because they dug their heels into it even more and posted on, was it Twitter? Maybe. Yeah, it was Twitter. And said, yo, the move where the kid gets on stage to be in the video so everybody can see them. And they just punch down on people off the stage. That shit is mad soft. Get on the dance floor with the true warriors off camera. Stop trying to be the star of the video, Tom Cruise. So they just like doubled down and really dug into it. And I mean, I agree with what he said. I agree with what he did. We've talked about it a lot. I feel like we're kind of beating a dead horse here, but TikTok and this idea that you're going to record yourself acting like a tough guy is mad soft. Like he said, that's mad soft.
Well, you know what's funny is this trend has started recently. It started within about the last 7 years, and it didn't start as like hopping up on stage and like swinging down on people. It started with hopping up on stage and taking a selfie with the singers. And the story so far, Parker Cannon kicked that one kid off the stage who tried to do it. You know what I mean? And then it turned into, well, I'm not going to get my phone out because I know there's 1,000 other phones who are recording this. So I'm just going to go and do my thing. And then I'm going to go tag myself in the video of me being the guy swinging down on everyone, you know? And so I agree with him. I think it's dumb. Like, I've taken more videos recently at shows because we've gotten involved with the podcast and with social media and things like that. But before, I actually didn't even like pulling my phone out. Like,
Right.
you're there to be part of it, be inclusive. Like he said, go be with everyone else in the middle of the pit and see if you can hang. Like that's where
Right.
you know if you can hang. So I agree with him, man. I agree full force, and we can take all the hate in the world for this one because I'll dig my heels in with him on that.
The other thing that happened too is I don't know if you saw that clip from the singer from Jesus Piece that like got the kid in a headlock.
Oh, maybe
So,
I
like,
did.
The rule with hardcore, and if there's new people listening, the rule at hardcore is like, it's not uncommon to get the mic from the singer and sing right with them. But the rule is that you do not take the mic from them. You wait till he hands it to you and then you get it and you sing. You don't just run up and rip the mic out of the guy. Well, someone tried to do that with the singer Jesus Piece, and he ripped the kid off and like got him in a headlock and like threw him down. Cause like, that's disrespectful, right? Like you wait till the mic is given to you and then you go for it.
Yeah.
So
and there will be opportunities, right? The mic is often in the crowds at hardcore.
Yeah, it's literally like the same clip that like he hands it to a guy and then everyone runs in and grabs it and starts singing. And it's like, that's the way it is. But you don't just go up there and rip the mic out of his hand. Like, nah, you know?
Yeah. So talking about all of this now, we're going to see the new Trolls movie tomorrow as a family. NSYNC is back, baby. But
just for one song, and I don't think it counts for the Trolls movie.
You know what? I expect an album by the end of 2024. I bet NSYNC drops an album, full world tour. After watching what Taylor Swift did with the Eras tour, they're coming back, man.
They're not going to because of all the hate that's coming out for JT, Justin Timberlake.
What's going on with JT right now?
Well,
this is your world, man.
I know. It's sad. Britney Spears wrote that like biopic and calls him out big time, and he's getting a lot of flack for it. So
is he though? Because like I saw the headlines and stuff, but I swear I saw him for like maybe 2-3 days, and I haven't really seen anything since then.
According to my wife, who's like a huge pop head, the bitterness is still there towards him. So
interesting. End of 2024 though. I'll
sure.
call it. That's a year away. They're gonna go world tour. They're gonna go and make how much did Taylor Swift make? 500 million or something
like that
from Eras.
She's still going. She's down in Brazil right now.
Yeah, which did you see the video of her like suffocating on stage?
Yeah, because it was 145 degrees.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Kudos to her, man, to keep that going in those conditions. It's pretty insane.
Yeah.
So, but
I don't know, man. We freaking Warped Tour in the summer.
It got up there,
you know.
No, for sure.
Moshing like we were in 110 degree heat or whatever, 105 degree heat.
That's true. Utah's pretty rough for that. So.
Yeah.
But anyways, my point about this was I feel like at this point in time, every genre for the most part has received their movie. Whether you want to like talk about like death metal, I don't even remember what that one's called, but it was like, I think something Mayhem just recently came out on Netflix. You have The Dirt going with like the 80s Motley Crue stuff. You want to go SLC Punk for the punk scene.
Yeah.
Like everything started to receive it. Where's hardcore? What's going to be the hardcore movie?
There's like National Geographic documentaries on straight edge. Does that count?
No. Come on, man. I want like Quentin Tarantino style movie on hardcore with like the old crews,
No,
like
would
the
be
early straight edge.
what would be cool is like a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon style, where people are like, like flying around like they were. That'd be sick in the
You know
mosh
what we
pit.
should do? We should just take that movie and dub over all their fight scenes with hardcore songs.
That'd be pretty
Do like
funny.
breakdowns. Like I'm sure that we could get some pretty sick shots.
Probably.
It'd probably look essentially the same thing as what we're doing. But yeah, dude, those early East Coast straight edge scenes when everything was starting out, they were insane. Go watch those like National Geographic
Yeah.
documentaries. Like it was nuts.
I just wonder if it's too niche. It's such a small subsection of music.
I mean, SLC Punk
Punk's
made a
massive, though.
movie.
Punk's massive.
Come
Dude,
on,
back
man.
in like the 90s and stuff, punk was huge.
Listen,
Like globally huge. Like you had all this, you had the skinhead movement, you had all that stuff. Like it was huge.
then let's get Turnstile and Knock Loose to be the ones who are going to do the album, and everyone will come out for it. We'll premiere it at Coachella.
So we should do
it'll
like
make national recognition.
it was a few episodes ago that we were talking about the Nirvana musical or rock
Yeah.
opera. We should do
Yeah.
like a hardcore opera.
Right? I seriously I think that the scene has validity for it.
Yeah, probably.
I think that there's definitely a story to be told there. And if you do want to take it like Tarantino style, like over the top violence, I definitely think that there's an audience who wants to see that. So,
Well, write him a letter. He probably listens to this, so he'll get the idea when we publish this.
sure. I think who's what's his name? Ellen James? Is that his name?
Ellen DeGeneres?
No.
Oh.
He's a old
yeah.
Yeah, I
What's
think
his
that's
name?
his I don't know.
Elgin James. He's the dude from
Elgin.
FSU, right?
Yeah, and he's doing Mayans and stuff like that. Come on, man. If you can write about a biker gang, you can write about your own scene. You can write about your upbringing.
I don't know.
There's
dude,
a
it's
story
probably-
to be told here.
It's probably like incriminating. He's probably I'm not going to send my friends to jail.
Listen, all you have to do is change it to something else. SFU.
Yeah.
That's what they did with the biker gang story, so it's all good.
Is
It'll
it?
happen.
I don't know anything about that. I've never watched those either. So
Oh, really? Sons was
Yeah.
pretty dope. I just
Okay.
finished Mayans, actually. It was good. But no, I thought that was interesting. Or if it's not hardcore, what other subgenre deserves its movie at this time?
I don't know. See, that's hard because I get caught up thinking about the movies that have been done on subgenres. Like, did you watch the Netflix Eurovision?
Yes.
Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of techno-y, right? So, but I guess there hasn't been like a straight up EDM one, has there? I don't know. There probably has.
Yeah. There's probably been something.
Have you
We could
seen
get
the one on Amazon Prime that's like the guy that he's a drummer for a metal band and he goes deaf?
Oh,
That one looked interesting.
I know
The
what you're
Sound of
talking
Music.
about.
I'm just kidding. It's
No. Isn't it like Rip Something? Or is that the other drummer
But I'm
one?
just saying, like,
Anyways.
there actually are a lot of movies like that, and so I don't know.
I think that there's
Scott needs one that's
Does
not at
it?
a bowling alley. Yeah, of course it does. Scott
Does it?
deserves everything that it can get.
just-
That's it. You know what? Screw the hardcore movie, dude. I'm pushing for a ska movie. Let's do it.
Okay. We'll figure that one out. Yeah. I don't know. It's probably got to be the hardcore scene, in my opinion. I think that there's other stuff that could come from it, but I think that the hardcore scene has a lot of movement and it's active and it's currently like at the front of people's minds with everything that's going on with it. So I think it could make
And
some
then-
waves.
Then they can do what Taylor Swift did and put her movie in the movie theaters, and then people will go
Yeah.
down to the front section where the screen is and just start moshing.
Dude, that is brilliant right there. Who's the band? Okay, if that's the case, who's the band you're going to mosh to in a movie theater?
If it's for hardcore, I don't know, dude. It's got to be like a band that's been around long enough to be able to have a discography like what Taylor did. So, like, Comeback Kid would be sick.
really you only need like 6 songs. At that point,
her
if you're,
movie's like 3 hours.
I know we can't mosh the way we mosh for 3 hours. I guess we do to every band, but
I know, right?
that's true. No, that's interesting. Let us know who's the band that you want to see in theaters that you're taking a group of 50 people to go just beat the crap out of each other
And
with.
you're dressing up for it like all the people that Taylor Swift one is.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
And I'm down.
That's our poll question. So
maybe we'll just have to come up with it. Maybe we'll just make one.
it'll essentially be AFI Girls Not Gray music video where they're up on stage and they're just people watching in front of them.
Yeah.
So,
one thing that I thought was interesting was, did you see that Spotify is going to stop paying artists that don't, well, they're not going to pay artists until they get their 1,000 and for like 1,001. How do you say that? The 1,001st?
sure.
The 1,001. The 1,001st stream. So if you're at 1,000, like you have to hit 1,001 streams to get paid on Spotify. Are you cool with that?
Yes, because it equates to 10 cents anyways.
Yeah. So why not pay them before that?
Because it costs more to cut a check than it does to actually pay them. So, like,
I'm not cool with it.
You're talking about literal pennies. We're talking about here.
Exactly. Now, for a multi-million-dollar company, literal pennies.
Now, I will say that did carry over to podcasting as well, because originally we were trying to target 100 listens and that jumped to 1,000. I'm not cool with that. Where's my money, Spotify? Come on, man.
The rich get richer. That's the only thing here.
Yeah, I mean, this is some grade A quality content that we're talking about right here. So
yeah, well, but it really though, like I was talking to my wife about this. She doesn't care because all the artists she listens to are massive, right? But you think about some of the bands that we listen to, like every little bit helps, man. Even if it is just like $100, like that's $100 they could use on something, you know?
Yeah, but at 1,000 streams, you're not getting $100. So
then what's the problem with paying them? So you're okay with that? You don't think they should?
Yeah, I don't care about that, honestly. Like, I think that until you're up to probably like 10,000 plus streams, and again, we're talking about a couple bucks, you know what I mean, coming from Spotify. The problem is they don't pay in general. I mean, every band you listen to is just like, we don't make money off Spotify. That's not our point. Even I was listening to Oliver Baxter from Broadside. Do you know who that is?
No.
They're like that pop punk band. They've been morphing recently into more of like a rock band kind of thing. But he was just on the like lead singer syndrome, I think is what the podcast is called, with Shane Told of Silverstein. And basically he was like, with this new album, we're trying to get up to 1 million monthly listeners. Doesn't pay us anything, doesn't do anything, but we can say we have 1 million monthly listeners to then base our touring off of and things like that to help get bigger venues. So Spotify is really there as leverage. It's like, it's the MySpace effect, right? Promoters used to look at your MySpace following to determine if they were going to book you. And that's what Spotify more or less has turned into, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, maybe the real issue here is just streaming music in general.
Oh, for sure.
I guess go back to buying crap from people.
Which, I mean, this new wave of vinyl, I think that that's where this has really come in. People wanted to get back to supporting artists and things. And I think that vinyl is the way that they're doing it, because no one's buying CDs anymore. Cars aren't even made with CD players today. Like, you want to talk about the real travesty?
A vinyl player in a car.
You want to talk about the real travesty is the automakers are in on this too. Spotify got to the automakers and they were like, hey, just remove the CD players and let's just go all digital. Yeah. You know, so that's
it is okay. So like driving and like on an airplane and crap like that, like clearly it's easier.
You're not packing your Walkman.
Yeah. And like my backpack's just full of like my CD binder.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I do think so. I mean, to be honest, it's funny you bring that up because for my birthday, my wife got me a record player.
Yeah.
And the reason why she did is because we had this conversation where I was like, it's stupid that they don't pay artists, because I listen to bands that might have a hard time getting 1,000 listens a month, you know? But they're dope and they deserve to be listened to and they deserve to make a little bit of money. So I was like, I would take a record player and I'm going to start buying vinyls, you know?
I'll tell
So-
you, that was the one thing I've said it a couple of times I missed about record stores. I missed going and picking up a physical copy, listening to them, being like, you want to talk about being part of a scene. There's nothing
Yeah.
like more inclusive than actually going and owning a physical copy of something to be part of that scene.
Yeah.
Like that is like a true stamp of like, I'm willing to like put my hard-earned money on the line for this band, and I miss it. And vinyl for me is something that has started to grow in my mind as, yeah, I'll buy a couple vinyls.
Yeah.
Like they're cool. They're fun.
I wonder if, and here, look, quality content on the Pit Therapy podcast. Seriously, we get into the real issues with all this. But I really do wonder if like this idea of streaming music has like commoditized music too much to where you've lost like the authenticity of it. Cause it's true. I mean, think about how cool it was to go to a record store with all your friends, hang out there for like 45 minutes.
Well,
Listen to put on CDs, you know, scrounge up money for it, like be super pumped that you got it, read through the lyrics, you know, talk about the album art and stuff. And now it's like, I just don't think kids care about that anymore. And it's almost like it's losing the art aspect of it, you know?
I 100% agree with that. Yeah, there was something very unique and different about the physical medium that music used to be that was very appealing to me. I absolutely loved all of that stuff. And so, like I said, I'm getting back into vinyl. I think that's really cool. Hopefully my budget can continue to increase with this, because I sit there and I look at our buddy Chris's collection and I'm like, there's no way I'm
Right.
ever getting to 1,000 vinyls.
Well, so as I've been looking at it, it's like, I'm not really looking at it from a collection standpoint. I'm not going to go drop $200 on a vinyl.
Yeah.
Like I'm just not like,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm looking, and maybe I'll get there, but right now, I'm not looking at it like that. Right now it's like, hey, I want to buy it to support the band. So
Yeah.
I'll drop $20 on a vinyl. It's cool.
Yeah.
I do that once, twice a month. Like it's no biggie, but it's bringing that feeling back, you know?
Exactly. And it's funny you say a couple $100. AFI just did their Sing the Sorrow collector box edition, $275. Because I was like, I clicked on it. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll do that, because I missed the initial Sing the Sorrow 20-year anniversary press. And I was like, maybe I'll just snag that instead. I saw that price tag. I was like, nope, not spending $275.
Yeah.
Like, you want to put out
dude, I thought the same
maybe,
thing.
but
I thought the same thing. I was like, oh, sick. Like I'm starting to get into vinyl. This would be cool to have. $275. Nah, dude. I'm not doing it.
For real.
So,
but yeah.
Who do you are? NSYNC?
Dude, those vinyls I bet are priceless.
Do you think they even did vinyls?
Someone has pressed those as a vinyl.
NSYNC vinyl. Let's look and see. Because now I'm curious. No, hey, there's a Dark Side of the Moon one for $37. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting that
oh yeah, you can get no strings attached for $25 on Amazon.
Yeah. The weird thing is like some of the stuff is like good quality and other stuff it doesn't sound good. So
really?
Yeah, as you start looking into it more, you'll start to see that people are like, this pressing was good, this pressing wasn't. So kind of interesting that way too. It really is like, you want to talk about like the art aspect of it, to be able to like literally differentiate that this pressing was better than this pressing is pretty cool that way. Especially from like a collector's standpoint. Like,
do they take refunds? Because I'm going to be super freaking pissed off if I buy vinyl that sounds like crap. Give me my money back.
Go back to streaming digital, bro.
Exactly. That's what we're going to do. Your band is going to be listened to on Spotify, where you're going to make nothing.
That's how you show your allegiance.
Exactly.
So, no, it's funny. Okay, so let's talk about the hardcore scene in general right now. I saw this thing, it was a couple months ago, where people were asking about the current state. And someone put it kind of exactly the way that I was thinking. Basically, we're in an insane boom, an insane growth for hardcore in general. Is hardcore turning into the next new metal? Is it going to get this huge, massive following and in about 3 to 5 years just be wiped off the face of the earth?
I'm going to say no, because hardcore's been around for a real long time and it's still here today. So I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I don't think hardcore is having the boom that you think it's having. I think bands like Turnstile are getting popular, but Turnstile's not really playing hardcore anymore. And Knocked Loose to me is not like necessarily hardcore. It's just like metalcore, honestly, right?
Yeah.
When I think of hardcore, I'm thinking of
Bridges
like,
that line.
I don't know, like Strife or like really a lot of the faster, like, and I don't think that's getting popular. We've talked about this a whole bunch. I don't think hardcore, like true hardcore, is going to get real popular.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's some pretty big bands that are starting to, well, I should say there's some pretty big tours that are starting to happening like overseas and stuff between like the Drains, the Tsunamis, and those bands. I think it's growing quite a bit. You've got Post
Okay,
Malone
Drain.
promoting them on the Joe Rogan podcast and things. So I think that there's a pretty big growth happening in the scene. And I think what you say is the reason why we're going to see the growth for 3 years, and then enough medical bills are going to make the scene die again.
Yeah. I saw a comment once somewhere that was like, I can't believe Americans go as hard as they do at hardcore shows without having like universal health care.
Reliable health insurance.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. It's funny. I've heard this brought up a whole bunch and I've read some threads on it where again, the old heads, the true old heads that are like in their 40s and 50s said that this kind of stuff was brought up in the 90s.
Yeah.
Right. Cause like you have the original 80s hardcore that really wasn't hardcore that we heard now. Right. It's like,
yeah.
I mean, Minor Threat and Black Flag sound nothing like Drain.
It's like punk.
Or yeah, exactly. And so when all these other though, like Earth Crisis type bands start coming into the hardcore scene, everyone's like, well, hardcore's dead. Like it's going to get super popular and it's going to bring all these people and then it's going to be dead. And then it didn't die. Like it was fine.
Yeah.
You know, and then you get later into like our scene and everyone thought hardcore was like Acacia Strain. And it's like, no, that's really just death metal. So I don't know. It's interesting because I think it's always going to be talked like that, but I don't think anything's going to happen.
I mean, I don't think that it completely goes away. I don't think new metal completely went away. I think that secretly people were always listening to Limp Bizkit in there.
Okay. So hold on though. That brings up an interesting point though. Like, what's considered dead to you? Because if you're in 2023 and the only new metal I guess while it was dead. So let's say 2020, because I don't think the new wave of new metal had started then, right?
I mean, it probably started, I don't know. We'd have to go back and look and see when like Limp Bizkit officially came back. It was probably 2018, 2019. I think it was right before the pandemic.
So just for the sake of the argument, let's say 2017.
Sure.
The new metal that you're listening to is probably still like Korn from the 90s or early 2000s, right? You're listening to original Limp Bizkit. Like, to me, that's dead because it's not current music. Like, I don't think it's not like there was this underground version of new metal, right? That people just didn't know about. Was there? Like, I don't think so.
I was not part of the new metal scene, right? I can't say I was part of that at all. So I have zero idea. I mean, ICP, I know that they're not totally new metal, but they always did their Gathering of the Juggalos. And I think that they always had new metal-ish bands come and play those types of shows. And so I do think that there was probably some aspect of it still happening and we just weren't part of it. So we just didn't know. But I think that's what I'm saying. I think that the people who are in hardcore who have like grown up with it, like us, like the scene that we're talking about, are always going to listen to it. And there's always going to be new bands who are doing it.
But see, yeah. And I think
it's
that's
not going to be popular.
Though. Right. But I think that's the difference though. I don't know that there were for that like 10, 15 years new metal bands.
Looks like we gotta do a new metal episode.
I know, right? But you and I like have been involved in like, even though we weren't like super involved in the scene for that little spurt, like I still would have known if new metal was a thing.
Yeah,
it
we would
wasn't.
think so. It was like there was always a little bit. There was always someone who did just a little bit, though.
I don't think so. I think it was people.
Hollywood Undead, Fire from the Gods. I'm trying to think. Like there was always one or two bands that always just kind of did little bits here and there.
So
you got a couple of Mirror songs that sounded a little new metal-ish.
I guess the argument that I was making was that hardcore never really felt like there was 10 years that hardcore didn't release any new stuff. But I feel like you could say that about new metal.
Well, that's why I'm saying, are we at the early phases of it? Like we're getting some pretty big growth right now. Are people going to get burnt out? Is there going to be something that happens? Are we going to trend towards the heavier style that we're starting to hear? And like the true to the name hardcore, right? So it's like the true to the name hardcore going to start to dip. Are we going to get that? I don't know. It was just an interesting thought.
It is not. I mean, it is interesting. I hope not. Because I swear, if my kid has to grow up just listening to like new metal stuff, I'm gonna be super pissed off.
Right.
If he comes, he's like, "Dad, I'm gonna go to this cool concert. This is the new wave of hardcore music. It's just new metal." I'd be like, "No, I can't."
Whether we like it or not, it's coming. So,
one thing that I wanted to bring up. So I tried to buy the When We Were Young tickets.
Yeah,
they sold out instantly.
Yeah.
They sold out instantly, and then if you went and looked at like SeatGeek, they were reselling for like $800.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this sucks. Anyways, thinking about that and kind of on that subject, somebody on Reddit did an AMA that was like they were a music exec, a live music exec.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So one of the questions somebody asked them, and I wanted to get your take on this. Somebody asked them, are we allowed to ask why concert tickets are so expensive these days? And here was the answer from this person. They said, simple, because people will pay it. Most people go to one concert per year, and high prices do not deter them. Also, ticket prices are... okay, so let me stop there. Do you believe that?
Yes.
You do? Okay. So you think that's a big reason why... like things like When We Were Young can just charge out the a-hole for
because
tickets.
people, the way that the world works today, listen, I'm a money guy. Like I went to school for finance and economics, and the whole debt cycle that we are in as a country is just the most stupid thing I've ever seen. People will buy tickets regardless of the price for the band that they want to see without thinking twice about it. Just because they can. So I'll knock it on a soapbox and talk about the stupidity of that. But the short answer is yes. What he's saying is true. They are a business. They are a corporation. Their whole goal is to make profit and maximize that revenue. Charge what you can until someone's not willing to pay it. And you'll get people going to Taylor Swift for $400 a pop, $500 a pop.
Yeah. Which is, in my opinion, ethically wrong what they're doing.
Agree. That's a different argument, though, right? But the answer to his question, yes.
Well, but it does kind of tie into this. Well, okay, so part two, another thing he says is also ticket prices are often significantly undervalued. A properly priced show should not sell out until doors open. Yet there's a big focus in our industry on fast sellouts. That plus the fact that artists want to keep fans happy by keeping prices low, keep prices artificially low. Do you believe that?
No.
Do you believe as a finance person that this is a supply and demand issue on how they're pricing tickets? Like
he's looking at it from an economical standpoint, and the way he's looking at it is yes. Like if you are immediately selling out of an event, you did it wrong. Like in terms of economics, right?
But doesn't that contradict his first point that it doesn't matter how much tickets are, people are going to buy them and it's going to sell out anyways, right?
But what they're trying to do is they're trying to gauge what that is, and that goes back to my point of people in the debt cycle that we are in don't care. So like that's why we've seen the exponential growth of ticket prices over the last few years is because things continue to sell out. So what we saw previously as $30 tickets, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's a $30 freaking ticket, is now a $75 ticket to go see Parkway Drive and still selling out. Next time they come, it's $100. So it's just going to keep going until they hit that threshold. And then they'll start to
Yeah.
scale back and they'll find that balance. But they haven't hit it yet because people just pay stupid amounts. The bigger problem is what we're seeing with the resellers.
And that was his next point, is he says artificially low ticket prices are the reason sketchy scalpers exist. If tickets were priced properly, the entire industry wouldn't exist. That entire industry of scalping wouldn't exist.
Correct. Yeah. And so there's something to be said about that. Scalping's been happening since forever, right? In sporting events, let alone live music and all that kind of stuff. Is, you want to talk about back in the early days where someone from the mob was able to get their hands on 100 tickets to the baseball game, and then they just went, they sold them outright. You know what I mean? It's always scalping has always happened. And so it's going to continue to happen. It just sucks that we literally have companies who will buy up all of the tickets for one event and try to make money on it. It's a numbers game. And then one event does well, one event doesn't, but they don't care because they made money on that first event. Yeah. And so it's insane the amount of math that's probably going into ticket scalping these days, but it's a lucrative industry. So
it's crazy hearing these stories about Ticketmaster doing like variable pricing. Like they did it with Blink. They did it with a bunch of these other ones. And it just, before you knew it, you were seeing Blink tickets for like $800. And it was like,
yeah,
I don't even like Blink. So I was just like, people are insane.
Right.
But I don't know. It's super frustrating to see. And this makes me appreciate a lot of the hardcore scene, because I still see flyers. Like I saw a flyer for some hardcore event somewhere that was like $12 at the door.
Yeah.
I was like, sick.
Right.
I'd have been there. Like 2023, you're selling $12 tickets. Sign me up. I don't even have to like the music. The fact that it's a $12 ticket, I'll go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. I've always hated the price gouging. It's always bugged me with sporting events too. Like, it sucks that if I'm going to take my kid to see a Mavs basketball game, I got to spend $400 like to take my family to a basketball game.
Right.
But I don't know, to hear this guy kind of be kind of cocky about how he's talking about this in the way that like, that's how it should be. Prices should be higher because then it won't sell out and blah, blah. I'm just like, no, you're like, that's ruining it though, because I don't know. It instantly gets sent to scalpers and
no, I'm with you. Like there needs to be a better way to go about it. Honestly, the way to actually avoid this is you buy tickets at the door. Like if you truly want to control how this actually gets put out there, it's everyone just buys tickets at the door, because then you know what the price of the event is. There's going to be a limited amount of people, and there's no way for a scalper to actually take advantage of that.
Yeah, but could you imagine driving like 2 hours to an event and you can't get in?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. There should be like some sort of mechanism to be able to control that. I wonder if you could do almost what they did for when we were Young Fest. You put a $20 down payment down. When you get to the door, you just buy the rest of your ticket.
That's fair.
Like there's probably a way to do it that would be economical and make sense for everyone. Because the thing is too, if you put your $20 deposit down and then you don't show up, they still made their $20, which is probably what the actual event should cost anyways. And then the excess is going to be what Ticketmaster is getting.
Right. Yeah.
It's
crazy. I don't know. I just looked at like when we were young, it was like $375.
Yeah.
$325 for the base ticket.
Yeah.
For one day.
Yeah.
Like I don't think so.
Warped Tour was $25.
Exactly. Warped Tour was $25. And maybe that's the issue too with a lot of these festivals is they just need to go back to a touring model. But I don't think Sound and Fury was that, like Sound and Fury might have been $300, but for 3 days.
Right.
Same. I know Furnace Fest was like that. Furnace Fest was like $300, but it was 3-day ticket.
The other thing about it though is it's happening in Vegas.
That's okay. That makes sense.
In Vegas, it's going to cost more right?
You're
If
telling
you're
me
going,
that like Birmingham, Alabama shouldn't be as expensive as Las Vegas?
that's exactly what I'm telling you, bro. Like, there's still
Dude,
need people to pay $300 for a ticket. Like, dude, they did something freaking right to get people to Birmingham, Alabama. So,
well, yeah, and the place is haunted, so
yeah, dude, everyone who went there screwed. So.
You wake up at night, some ghost is like two-stepping on the ceiling.
Right. Whatever, dude. You're
Dude,
gonna wake
maybe
up at
that's the
night.
movie that needs to be made.
You're gonna have someone crowd killing you in your bed. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, some like possessed girl like crawling on the ceiling drops down and just starts windmilling you.
Some dude's gonna stand on top of your bed once your headboard, and they're gonna be punching down on you.
Oh man,
It's like, where's Jay from Mime Force, man? Freaking
right?
exercise this demon for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, we could talk all day about the actual economics behind all of this, because I mean, it's super interesting, but I do think there is a model that should be done at some point that will be able to remedy that. And I actually think smaller bands could be the ones who front run that.
Well, here's the true answer to that is go support your local scene. Go to the DIY shows,
Yeah.
Go support the small venue in your town and pay $10 for a ticket. Go to a park show. Go to,
Yeah.
like let's bring that attitude back,
Yeah.
into the scene. Cause I think that's how you combat it too. Is it's like, well,
exactly.
So.
The problem is the cost of touring is so high that there has to be a way to also combat that. So
yeah. But if it's just local bands in your local scene, like that's
what I'm thinking of is like no bragging rights. Like when they came through and there was just a couple bands touring with them, but then they brought some locals out. Like, I want to be able to support those little bit bigger headliners. I'm okay to pay, $25-$30 a ticket to make sure that those kind of people can come through, as long as the locals there are able to play as well,
It's true. I guess what No Bragging Rights did was the right way to do it, honestly.
Yeah. And
cheap ticket, brought in local bands. Everyone gets
to be honest, like they probably lost money on that tour.
You think?
Oh yeah. There's no way.
I don't know. No, I mean they're on a label, right? So they're probably fronting a lot of that.
I don't know how much labels are putting out these days for that kind of stuff. So, I mean, they weren't touring an album. That's the thing. It wasn't new music that they were touring.
Yeah, what a weird tour for them to do, huh?
Yeah, it was a little bit strange.
Just kind of random.
Kudos to them, man. I freaking love seeing No Bragging Rights. It was awesome.
I did too. They're amazing. They're so good live.
Exactly. So, that's what I want more of.
Seeing Mouth for War was incredible because I actually didn't know them before this.
And I'm bummed, right?
They're exploding right now too,
Yeah, they really are. They're playing with Mime Force coming up. But you know what? I had 3 locals on mine. I enjoyed watching the locals. I did miss not having maybe one more band that was from out of state that I'm probably not going to be able to see for a while, kind of thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it is what it is.
Bands don't really bring locals on anymore, it feels like.
Yeah. I mean, the last few shows I've gone to, it's just the touring bands.
Yeah. And that was all they did before, dude. Every single show we went to had a local band open for them.
At least
every single one. Yeah.
At least one. Which, I wish that would come back. We heard some
real bad local bands, man.
We knew some real bad
local bands. There's a guy on our podcast that has played in some pretty bad local bands.
He's played in some good ones too.
He's played in some really good ones too. That's true. You win some, you lose some,
Dude, I'm telling you, man, it's a numbers game. It's the same thing with the ticket prices.
If anyone on here doesn't know, go listen to Crow Killer because that's Josh's band, and they rip, dude. They're so good.
They're sick. So we, you know what? He doesn't really listen to these midweek episodes. Like, let's be honest.
That's true.
We need to prank him and do an episode on Crow Killer and not tell him that it's an episode on Crow Killer.
It mean you just reviewing Crow Killer?
Yeah. And what we should do is we should say it's a different band, and then we should start just listing off Crow Killer facts.
That'd be funny.
So this band was started in Salt Lake around 2017.
Like, they started that long ago?
I think so.
I guess they did. No, I guess they did.
Probably earlier than that, honestly. But yeah. Anyways, that's all I got.
That's all I had too.
Nope.
Screw the industry.
Let's figure out how to make it work again. So, okay, you got ideas? Tell us. We want to hear them.
Yeah. And
So-
go support your local scene. Buy some vinyl.
Peace.